Well, welcome to CM41 module number 6. Today we're going to talk about ethics. Okay? Now you may have talked about this in classes in the past. You may have talked about this when you took business classes or maybe in some of your other CM classes. But I really want to talk to you about ethics as it applies to construction job site management today. And I think it's really important because I know that there's a lot of ethical decisions that need to happen on job sites. They happen every single day. Superintendents are definitely at the front line of ethical decisions. There's a lot of things that happen on job sites, and there's a lot of moving parts and pieces. And so today I want to talk to you about ethics as it pertains to construction job site management. But first, I want to show you a little graph here, because this graph is, it really shows why we need to pay attention to ethics in construction. And this was a study that was done. And it was a study by FMI, and it was for owners that are doing construction projects. Okay, so they're paying for construction projects, they're hiring GCs, they're hiring subcontractors, but they are right in the middle of everything. And the survey question said, have you personally experienced industry-related acts that you consider unethical? 84% of the people that were asked said yes. 84%. 12% said no, and 4% said no comment. So, to me, that 4%, that's kind of like a, yeah, no comment. That's a yes, you know? Or that's a, yes, I do the unethical acts. That's what that no comment means. But of those 84% that said yes, 34% said frequently. Not just like once, or I've seen it a couple of times. They see it frequently. And 50% say infrequently, but still yes. Now, why is this important to us? Because these are owners, so you might say, well, these are just owners. These aren't, the GC or anything. But what's important is not just that it's the owners, but if the owners are seeing it, then something's wrong, okay? Whether they're right or whether they're wrong, they have this observation that they're seeing is unethical. And so how can we handle that? What can we do about it? Should we do anything about it? Is it important for us to make a big deal out of this? Or should we just go on about our business? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, unfortunately, it might actually be broke. From the looks of this study and from what I've seen in construction, some things are broke. There are things that are broke. And so ethics is important in construction. We want our industry to be viewed as an ethical industry, not one where people don't want to hire, a GC because, all those GCs, they're backhand, they're just trying to make all kinds of money. We don't want to be viewed like that. I mean, kind of like when we take our car in to get fixed. We're always looking for that ethical guy that can fix our car because we don't want to go to some person who's going to try to make money off of us or, sell us something that we don't need. And so we really want our industry to be viewed as ethical. So ethics is important. To talk about ethics, though, we have to understand what ethics are. And there's a definition of ethics that I want to share with you. And it's ethical behavior is based on codes and agreements made by a group regarding what is acceptable to that group. Okay. Ethical behavior is based on codes and agreements made by a group regarding what is acceptable to that group. Now, ethics are defined by the group that you're in. That could be the company that you're working for. The ethics for that company can be defined by that company. Or the ethics could be defined by the construction industry in general. It can be defined by either one of those things. Whatever industry you're in. For any of you who have taken accounting classes, you've probably studied about what the ethical, what group makes the ethics for accounting. Each industry has their own ethics. There are things in the industry, in the construction industry, that are considered ethical or unethical, and within a company, things that are considered ethical or unethical. Sometimes those things conflict. And so we really have to look at, where do our ethics come from? Are they coming from our company and our company's standards? Or are they coming from the industry and what the industry standards are? But there's a lot of people that use things, terminology like morals and values, and they interchange those with ethics quite a bit. But there is a big difference between those things, and it's important to understand what the difference between those things is. Moral behavior, it's often based on a belief in a higher power that dictates a way of living. So that's moral behavior. So that could be described as somebody who believes in a higher power. Now, whether that's a god or whether that's Mother Earth or, just a power, whatever it is, moral beliefs, moral behavior comes from that. Now, values, in relationship to that, are one's beliefs. Okay? Values could be related to moral behavior or might not. There might be a disconnect between those two things in somebody. And then we've got the law. Okay? So in relation to those two things, we have the law. A law is enforced with formal consequences and is applicable only in the jurisdiction enacted. Okay, there's laws that are here in Flagstaff that may not be down in Phoenix or vice versa. There's laws over in Colorado that may not be the law here in Arizona. And so laws are only good in the jurisdiction enacted. So they're almost kind of similar to ethics, because ethics are determined by the group that you're in. But all of these things are different. Ethics is different than moral behavior and values and the law. All four of those are different. And the way to look at this, and the way we can kind of explain this, is that some unethical behavior is not illegal. So, let me give you an example. In construction, a lot of times subcontractors might give you a gift. So they might give you a gift at Christmas, or maybe they give you a gift card, or maybe they give you some tickets to the Diamondbacks game, or something like that. That's done in the construction industry. It's not illegal for that to happen. Okay? Now, we're not talking about bribes, we're just talking about gifts. It's not illegal, but within some construction companies, that's considered unethical to accept those gifts, because the company, the group, has told you that their ethics that you are to subscribe to because you're working for them, their ethics say that that is unethical. So you have to abide by those ethics. But some unethical behavior is not illegal. Now, some laws may seem unethical to some groups. Okay, so just because it's a law does not mean that it's not unethical to some groups. For example, there are plenty of things that the law says are okay that some groups may not consider okay. For example, gambling. Gambling is legal in certain areas, but for some groups of people, that's not considered ethical. Along with things like drinking alcohol, or now the law says that people 21 and over in Arizona can smoke marijuana. Well, there are lots of groups that consider that unethical. So some laws may seem unethical to some groups. So laws and ethics are not always tied together in the same way that laws and morals and values are not tied together. Okay? So ethics of a corporation may not match one's morals. There's an interesting concept, because you might work for a corporation or a company where your morals, and remember, your morals are what comes from that higher power. You might work for a company and it does not match your morals. Okay? There may be things that a company asks you to do that you feel are not right. Let me give you an example. I know a guy who went to work for a construction company, and his first job on a project that they were bidding, he was told, go call every subcontractor on the job and try to get them to cut their price by 10%. And then we'll put in our bid. Okay? Well, the ethics of that corporation did not match that person's morals. So that person's morals told them, well, this is like stealing. You're basically stealing from that company money that really belongs to them. So the ethics of a corporation may not always match your morals. Also, one's values may not match your morals. What one person believes to be correct may not match what you believe the higher power is telling you is right for your way of living. One's values may not match your morals. So what somebody else holds as a belief, a value, may not match what you feel is morally acceptable. So values and morals are not always the same. So ethics, morals, values, and the law are not all interchangeable, okay? And so when we talk about ethics, you need to remember that we are talking about what is right for that group. And specifically here, we're going to talk about what's right for construction. What is ethical for construction? Now, you have to look at that in comparison to what your morals are, what your values are, what your beliefs are, and honestly, what the law is. We have to look at it in relation to that. But remember, ethics are defined by the group. Let me explain it to you like this. In your career, you're going to have to make a lot of decisions. These decisions are not always going to be easy decisions, and they're not always going to be clear-cut decisions. Ultimately, you want all of these four things to align in this one decision. Your ethics for your company, your particular values, your morals, and you want it to be within the law and be lawful. You want all of those things to fit in that same hat when you're making that decision. What I'm here to tell you is that it's not always going to be that easy. There are going to be times where it seems like all of these things, they're all over the place. And you don't know what the particular ethics on the situation are. You don't know what the particular values, your values or your morals, how they align with the ethics. And you don't understand what the law is when it comes to those things. We always want it to be in the same hat, but it's not always going to be that easy. So you need to be prepared to face those decisions and understand that it's not always going to be an easy decision. Okay? It is going to be challenging in your life. So you need to understand what the difference is between all of those four and have them clear cut. Know what your morals are, know what your values are, and know what the ethics of your company is when you're making decisions. I'm going to have you watch a video, and this video is called the Stanley Milgram Experiment. It's been reproduced and reproduced and reproduced with very similar results all the time. But this video is going to shock you. You're honestly going to watch this video and you're going to say, I can't believe I just watched that. Is that really the way people do things? Is that really the way people think? While you're watching this video, I want you to think about how this applies to construction. And then you're going to do some writing about that. But really think about how this applies to construction, how this might apply to your future career and future decisions. And also, I'm going to post some discussion posts where I'm going to give you some ethical dilemmas on job sites, things that I have either seen or been a part of or had to make a decision on in my own career. These are not things that are just made up. They either come from me or they come from somebody, and somebody had to deal with this. And so I want you to read through those and their discussions. So I really want you to put a lot of thought into these discussions and what you're writing in the posts. You need to read other people's posts. You need to reply to at least a couple of them with questions, and you need to reply to any questions that are asked on yours. Okay, so there's going to be multiple posts that you need to make. So those will be posted on BB Learn for you to take a look at. But make sure you're putting thought into this. There's not right or wrong answers. I want to see that you're thinking about it. That when you go out into the industry, you're prepared because you've actually thought about some of these things. And you say, oh yeah, Bruner, we talked about something like that, and I'm ready to make this decision. I've thought about this. I've thought about the process. I've thought about what I would do. I know the difference between ethics and morals and values and the law. So I'm ready. But make sure you're putting good thought into this. All right. Well, we'll see you next week.